Hi, and welcome back to episode 3 of 7 Steps that will measurably improve your organization's productivity. My name is Alex Glassey, and as you know, we've been exploring this particular question, which I think is in the minds of every CEO and leader in any organization in the world today, which is in today's relentlessly challenging world, in today's relentlessly changing world, how can my organization thrive? That's what we've been exploring. And our agenda has been so far in video 1, how psychological safety improves business performance. So if you haven't watched that, I encourage you to go back and take a few minutes and do that. It sets the foundation. Then we talked about how to actually quantify and measure psychological safety in teams and leaders. And again, if you haven't seen that, go back and see that. And today we're going to talk about how to link psychological safety through business to the business performance. And a little bit of a recap. We started off 1,000,000 years ago in our story, and we talked about how our brains had to evolve to operate in a social world. In other words, the only way that we were going to survive, much less thrive, was that if we banded together in teams and put our backs to each other and then face the challenge of the outside world. That says so much about how we operate still to this day. We're still driven by that social aspect of our particular brains. It turns out that our brains are constantly surveying the social landscape, asking, if I do this here, am I going to be hurt, embarrassed, or criticized? Because if I am going to be hurt, embarrassed, or criticized, I'm probably not going to do it because it's painful. It causes me just as much pain as if someone were to physically injure me, right? This emotional, psychological safety pain is just as powerful, just as off-putting as physical pain. And of course, Google was in 2014 did a 3-year study of 180 teams, and they said that, listen, psychological safety more than anything else was critical to making a team work. This stuff is important. And what we did in the last couple of videos, we developed a productivity model that says, hey, we are tracking hard numbers, KPIs, and let's put those on the y-axis, whether it be revenue or any profitability or net promoter score, customer satisfaction, doesn't matter what it is. And then what we found is that we know that people drive productivity, right? If we didn't have any people, our productivity would be 0. And so therefore we know that people drive productivity. Google's told us that psychological safety is the most important factor. And then in the last video, we showed you how we're able to, we've got the PS25 survey that helps to quantify that in hard numbers and helps us to understand how much unrealized potential. That's what we're going to explore today, is how exactly do we quantify this unrealized potential so that we can start to make decisions with it and start to recapture that unrealized potential. Okay, so barriers to improving productivity, there was a couple of them. We thought at first that organizations couldn't accurately assess their people, but we now know that they can with the PS25. And now what we're going to show today is how organizations can effectively link people to performance. And so there are 7 steps that will measurably improve your organization's productivity. We're getting to the heart of the matter here. The first step we already know is to learn how your staff really feels, right? The PS25, easy to administer, easy to take, easy to get results back, and then we can quantify exactly how psychological safety is distributed across your organization, and we can divide that a number of different ways, including getting right down to taking a look at what specific areas of psychological safety strength or weakness exist in your organization. All right. So the reason that we want to learn how our staff really feels is because this is the start of it. Because this, how they feel, drives productivity. Psychological safety drives organizational productivity. The second thing that we can do is we can find patterns in demographics. right? We want to find patterns in demographics because it can help us to find little hidden pockets of things that are going on. Wow, people over here or in this particular demographic are feeling more or less psychologically safe. And so if they're feeling less psychologically safe, maybe there's something we want to do about it. And so when we do the survey, we get as many of the demographics as you want to give us. So for example, age, gender, length of service, job title, type of employment, ethnicity, country, that type of thing. All the things that you think might play a part. It may not, but it might. And we'd rather, and I think you would rather, give us more of this stuff because then we can help you understand whether the stuff is important or not. Okay. For example, an organization that we recently worked with, they were very concerned about psychological safety levels differing across gender. And they were relieved to find, after we did a lot of work, they're relieved to find that there was absolutely no or virtually no psychological safety differences between the genders, which was, again, very comforting for them. What we'll do then is we can take the demographic, so this is the type of labor, part-time, full-time, casual, and we can set it across the 5 social domains and then with an overall number right here, and you can start to see, are there higher or lower, what's the delta, so are there higher or lower areas of psychological safety, and if so, then it asks questions. Well, why? Why would casual people be feeling a little less psychologically safe than others? And is there anything that we can do about it? So those are part of the conversations that arise, that flow from this type of analysis. So we want to find patterns in demographics so we can gain a deeper understanding of our people, and it leads into conversations that can help to improve overall psychological safety, which from point number 1 is important because it drives organizational productivity and performance. Number 3, reliably assess leadership skills. Well, as you've seen in the PS25, and the results are kind of like taking an X-ray of your organizational structure, and it pops up higher and lower areas of psychological safety, and it oftentimes means that there's there is a leader there who needs some support in areas of low psychological safety. So often in organizations, what we do is we take someone who's good at something, and then we promote them a little bit so that then they become really good at something, and then we promote them so they're really, really good at something, and then we promote them to leader, to managing other people. And at this particular point, we don't give them any additional support or training or insight or advice or mentoring or coaching or any of that stuff. We just go, oh, if you're a good salesperson, Mary, then you should be able to teach salespeople and lead salespeople. You're a good programmer, Bob. You should be able to lead other programmers. And this is absolutely not true. Leading people is a whole other skill set. And so what the PS25 does is it highlights that. Now, sometimes you actually do have good leaders, but the way they teach, for example, the way they manage might be different from the way some of the people in their teams are able to learn. And so we've simply got a mismatch. Anyway, these are the things that flow out of the PS25, and particularly because it's nuanced, it helps to highlight some of these particular areas and then allows us to start to figure out how to make those improvements. Of the 25 questions, 5 of them have been statistically demonstrated to indicate, to show what the manager influence is on that particular group. And so we get a manager influence score. And here's an example of what it might look like. So here we've got a number of locations, 7 locations. And here we've got 5 of the questions, which together form an overarching manager score or manager influence score. And in this particular chart, I've ranked them. I've sorted them by high to low in the manager score. And you can clearly see, listen, you got a couple of managers that are doing, a pretty good job. And then you've got 2 or 3 managers that are doing less of a good job. And you can start to see exactly where they need some help, they need some support. That's the beauty of this thing. It doesn't just give you a number and then walk away. It gives you a number then it breaks down that number, and then we've got some other work that helped you to interpret exactly what's going on in that number, right? And then if you take that across an organization writ large, here's another organization with all of their managers, right? You got some brilliant managers up here. You've got some less than brilliant managers down here. Lots of things we can do. We can exactly pinpoint what's going on. We might be able to want to buddy up a great manager with a less than great manager. There's all kinds of things that we can do to target mentorship, training, coaching, all kinds of interventions. So what we want to do is we want to assess leadership skills, because leadership drives psychological safety, and psychological safety drives productivity and performance. Step number 4. Link psychological safety to your metrics. And again, just to recap, is that psychological safety sits in an individual. However, it's influenced by the people around them. That's what these other circles are. Psychological safety drives not only engagement. A lot of times a lot of organizations right now are using engagement surveys going, oh, okay, if people are engaged with the organization, that is going to drive up performance. So we want to make sure our engagement scores are high. Engagement is a proxy for psychological safety, and it's not a direct proxy either. So we're starting to get close to what we need to measure, but psychological safety actually measures it, and psychological safety actually drives engagement, just as it drives these other things. Low psychological safety, you're going to have low physical safety. You're going to have low mental well-being, low mental health, low well-being. You're going to have low levels of creativity, low levels of customer experience, whereas high levels of psychological safety flip all those things around. You now your physical and safety, your mental well-being, mental health, well-being start to improve. Your creativity goes up, your customer experience goes up all the way along. And these things collectively form the culture of an organization, and it's through that culture that we actually achieve business results, right? So it goes from psychological safety to business results. So now let's connect them, right? So what we do is we take the results of the PS25 and all of your metrics, and we put them into a correlation matrix. We basically put them into a big dumping ground, and we kind of stir the pot and do a statistical analysis on this and come up with a correlation matrix. And some clients want to do little of this and have one or two. Some clients want to do a lot of this. A recent work we did, there was a client who wanted to do 32 different metrics, which was very interesting indeed. You've already got the metrics that you need in your organization, so let's just use the ones that are already there. Sometimes they're tucked away, or they're specific to a particular department or area, but you've got them. We can then help you understand what metrics might be. We can help you understand what metrics might be useful. We can start to help you build a causal map that focuses on areas that you may be particularly concerned about. All kinds of things we can do. At the end of the day, what we end up with is this. Is a correlation map that shows psychological safety on one side, and then whatever you're most interested about on the other side. So over here we have margin per square meter. I think this was a retail client. Margin per square meter, which is really its profitability on a location basis. And you can see here we've got the correlation, the statistical correlation, that psychological safety is 56.4% related to sales conversion rate. So 56.4, that is a massive, massive correlation. That means that psychological safety, well, I can't say that it's causing sales conversion rate, but they're absolutely related. And as we work through time, we will then see what causes what. Does psychological safety cause sales conversion rate, or does sales conversion rate cause psychological safety, or are there other factors? Anyway, this is the work that we do. But it just makes sense that the better our people feel, the better they're going to engage with customers, and therefore customer experience is likely going to go up from that. And the better that our customers feel, that's likely going to drive sales conversion rates, and then that's likely going to increase revenue, and that's going to drive up our particular margin. So this correlation map it comes out as part of the software, the PS Conductor software that we use, along with the PS25. So what we want to do is we want to link psychological safety to your metrics so you can now start to quantify and prioritize. Quantify and prioritize. Sounds like it's leading to a next step. Well, now we can quantify risks and opportunities. So, for example, Gallup, remember this, said that when we double the number of workers who feel psychologically safe, it increases, on average, it increases these metrics in organizations around the world, regardless of organization size and country of origin and industry. Psychological safety drives everybody's business results. This then allows us to get a sense of the unrealized potential, and this is exactly what we're now able to do. Now that we have the two numbers, the KPI on the y-axis, we've got the PS, the psychological safety number, on the x-axis, we've got this correlation between the two. We can start to do things like this. We can start to go, listen, for this particular KPI, whatever the KPI is, for these 3 locations, and it could be 30 and it could be 300 locations, this is the unrealized revenue or unrealized net promoter score, or right? You get my point here is that once we've got these things correlated, we can start to figure out how much, what's the potential that if we were to increase psychological safety, and then that we're going to increase and improve that KPI, that would then drive a revenue or an expense result. It would either increase revenue, it would reduce an expense. For example, if you reduce turnover, that reduces an enormous expense. If you can reduce safety incidents, you're reducing not only the cost to resolve safety incidents, but you're reducing insurance premiums, et cetera, right? This is the work that we do and the software does on your behalf. And then we can also do stuff like this. We can actually create custom reports that help you just plug in one of your locations and then get a sense of what the value of improvement is. So here for this and these 2 metrics, whatever they happen to be, it turns out that if we were to increase this value by 1/10 of a point from 1.76 to 1.86, that would increase revenue by $11,000. And if we were able to increase our sales conversion rate from 15.5 to 16.5, that would increase store sales by $12,000. And in some work that we have been doing with a retail client, they've been able to drive up this number significantly, many points increase. Anyway, it's a huge success. So what we want to do is we want to quantify risks and opportunities so that then we can prioritize what we're going to do. And that allows us then to plan the interventions that you want to make inside your organization or with your client if you're a consultant and you're doing this on behalf or in conjunction with a client, right? So what we can do is we can help you support your internal capability. Either we can help you, the consultant, to build up your internal capability. We can help the end client through things like workshops, courses, online courses or in-person courses, leadership training, coaching and mentoring. And as I say, we've got a network of people that are schooled in neuroscience, they're schooled of leadership, they're schooled in business, and they're schooled in how those things come together with PS25 and PS Conductor. We can do facilitation, so senior level facilitation. Again, sitting around, having a strategy session, trying to figure out what does the business have to do for example, in its competitive landscape, and then how to take the people inside the organization and support the strategic initiative. That type of facilitation is work that we can also do, advisory work, and then of course we've got software tools that we can bring to bear as well. Plan your interventions because there's no time to waste. However the change of speed has been, it's going to increase. And if we're feeling that there is opportunity for you to make some improvements, then why wait? Let's get on top of it. Monitor your progress. Now, again, because we've We've got hard KPIs on the y-axis. We've now got a KPI on the x-axis, the psychological safety KPI. We can now start to monitor it, and let's say 90 days later or 120 days later, let's do it again. And let's see how we've progressed in the psychological safety area. This is net improvements across the 25 questions. Here's the 5 domains for a particular group, and then we can then take that PS and we can assess it against any other metric that we've got: customer experience, close rates, revenue, gross margin, etc., and make sure that our productivity is going towards the northeast. So monitor your progress so you can calculate your ROI and create your business cases. Figure out what's really working and then double down on those things. So the question that we've had along the way is, in today's relentlessly challenging world, how can my organization thrive? And this is still us. This is still us a million years later, feeling psychologically safe or unsafe, whether we're a part of the group or not, and whether the group leader is someone that is helping us to feel comfortable and to thrive and contribute and participate and feel liked and respected. To the extent that that's going on, then that's going to drive the business results that we all want and help the organization to thrive as well. Here's the 7 steps. Again, I won't read them out. Looks like a lot of work, looks like a lot of words. I will tell you that these ones right here, the first 5 steps, are very easy to do. Is because the software does this all for you. And so your first step is fairly straightforward. All you've got to do is just engage with us, give us a call. Let's figure out how to make this go in your organization so that you can start to learn how your staff really feels, and then everything else will fall from that. I hope this has been useful. These 7 steps will measurably improve your organization's productivity. If you'd like to know any more or have another discussion, you can catch me at this email here anytime, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I wish you all the best in your organization and with your people.